After being selected third overall by the Knicks, RJ Barrett never really established himself amongst the New York fan base or coaching staff, and people were wondering if that move to Toronto would elevate his game in any way. Well, if the first 6 games are any indication, RJ Barrett is on track to being one of Toronto's next star players. So, what's really changed for the player? Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody. This is Amateur Hour Sports, the YouTube channel completely dedicated to providing you with Toronto Raptors coverage and analysis and videos just like this, as well as live stream watch parties for every Raptors game. If you want to see more Raptors content like this, keep up to date with everything coming at you from Amateur Hour Sports, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, helping me on my road to 17,000 subs. And if you find yourself enjoying this video along the way, make sure to smash that like button. But it's some great vibes here as the Raptors have found potentially their next star player with RJ Barrett. He has been sensational in his first 6 games with the Raptors after coming into the team as a polarizing player. Yes, 23 years old. Yes, lots of room to grow, but certain problems in his game surface a lot in New York with his decision making, his shot selection, his efficiency overall, defense perhaps, and people are wondering, is this really a player that can play winning basketball going forward? Is this $27 million a year contract for the next 3.5 years really going to be worth it? That's what people were saying. That's what I was saying. That's what I said about RJ Barrett last week, but things seem to have really started to change for the player, and we're wondering if this great start to his time in Toronto is going to be at all sustainable. So we're going to look at what he was like playing for the Knicks earlier in the season. We're going to look at what his numbers have been like with the Raptors this season, and we're going to talk about what's changed and if that's a sustainable change for RJ Barrett to really kick on in his NBA career. So RJ Barrett, largely for his time in New York, was a pretty inefficient player, mostly on 2-pointers. That's where we really see some issues for RJ. He's like a low 30s 3-point shooter, like low to mid 30s, 32, 33%. Yes, there was that one season where he shot 40% from 3, but that seems to be the outlier as far as his statistics are concerned. However, RJ Barrett, as a decently sized guard slash forward, has never shot above 50% on 2s at all in a season in his NBA career. That was an alarming statistic coming into the Raptors, and we're wondering if that is going to change. What largely had contributed to that lack of success in the efficiency department is RJ Barrett's decision making, perhaps RJ Barrett's tunnel vision at times, just putting his head down, getting in the paint, and trying to make something happen from nothing. But we're seeing an RJ Barrett in a completely new light in Toronto. He looks like a completely different player, and I know it's only 6 games, but his decision-making, his decisiveness, and his demeanor, perhaps most impressively, have just absolutely done a 180. He's much more engaged on both ends of the floor. Yes, there are still some issues from a defensive standpoint, but he's engaged. He's working hard. He is fighting for the team. He's playing for the team. He's playing for the city. It's his hometown after all. He's representing the team and his city very, very well with the way he's playing and his demeanor and his work ethic. And all of that is translated onto the court with that additional freedom as well, playing with the Raptors. Just take a look at the numbers he's producing. I know it's just 6 games. I don't want to jump the gun on all these statistics and how well he's playing, but it has been so downright impressive so far for his time with the Raptors. He's averaging nearly 22 points per game with the Raptors, 6.8 rebounds, 3.5 assists, but these efficiency numbers are just outrageous. Just outrageous. He's averaging 59% shooting from the field, 54% shooting from 3. And the most impressive number to me is he's shooting 63% on 2s, and followed up some outrageous performances to start his Raptors career with another fantastic performance recently against the Los Angeles Clippers on the second night of a back-to-back at the Crypto.com arena. He goes 10 of 16 from the field, he goes 4 of 6 from 3, and he goes for 24 points. And these buckets, they're important points along the way. There's so many different aspects of these games for the Raptors where they can't get any buckets to fall. If they can't get any points, it's a hard little situation, a hard pocket of the game. And RJ just fights his way to the rim, makes a nice move in the post, makes a nice move against his man, and finds a way to get that bucket. Or there's a kick out for RJ who hits a big-time 3 to get the Raptors back in the game. That's been happening so often in this 6-game stretch since Immanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett came over in that trade that involved OG Anunoby. So we're wondering, with the success that RJ Barrett is starting to see on the court, what has really changed for the player? Well, you have to consider the situation in New York. The situation with the Knicks hasn't really been good for the better part of 3 decades at this point. Maybe we go to the late 90s. Maybe let's go to 25 years. The situation in New York hasn't really been the best, especially the 20 years leading up to RJ Barrett getting selected 3rd overall. Things were down in New York after they were tanking for Zion Williamson, ended up with the 3rd overall pick, missed out on Ja Morant, missed out on Zion Williamson. So RJ Barrett came into the team and wasn't exactly the shining light out the gate that perhaps the team was looking for at the time. The team was still a little bit broken, having missed out as well in that offseason on Kevin Durant and as well Kyrie Irving in free agency. Yes, the New York Knicks absolutely have turned a corner since then. They have turned a corner with RJ Barrett being along for the process, but it never really felt like it was a great fit for RJ in New York. It never really felt like he had truly settled in to his role in New York. And I think things escalated in that direction with the player being unsettled, with Tom Thibodeau being the head coach there. Tibbs is a very particular head coach. He's particular in what he likes. He's sort of like Nick Nurse in a way where he has his favorites, he has a certain way of playing, and it's his way or the highway. That can be a great thing for players. That can be a great thing for a team. And so far with the Knicks, it has been a great thing for the team, who are finding a lot more success, or a consistent playoff team at this point. But it didn't really work for RJ Barrett's game, perhaps, and playing alongside Julius Randle, perhaps now Jalen Brunson. It didn't really afford him the touches and the right touches for his game and for him to be successful. But ever since coming to the Raptors, we've talked a lot overall in NBA discourse. It gets spoken about all the time, where it's about your situation sometimes when it comes to a player. And maybe we're just seeing the first steps towards the signs that this could be the right situation for RJ Barrett to really get his career going, to really start getting into that star sort of level that he was touted to be when he was selected 3rd overall in that pretty loaded draft class, like I said, that involves Zion Williamson and Ja Morant, who went ahead of him. He's been a fine player. He's been a player averaging near 20 points per game in the NBA. It's just, are these points, are these stats, are they within the realm of playing winning basketball? That's been the conversation. And right now, I know the Raptors are 3-3 since Immanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett came over, but his demeanor out there, his freedom, it's completely changed. The freedom to just express himself, to play his game, to not be under the microscope of Madison Square Garden, of the New York media. Perhaps this extra additional freedom is just letting RJ Barrett be himself out there on the floor. And yes, there are some defensive breakdowns, perhaps in isolation, one-on-one defense. Sometimes, or a lot of the time, he does need that additional help defender. But offensively, his decisiveness is what we're really starting to see things change. And honestly, his team play has really started to change as well. There was one specific play against the Lakers where the Raptors were trying to get themselves back in the game, sort of late in the game. The Raptors had a transition opportunity. RJ Barrett was driving on the left side. He had D'Angelo Russell at the rim, and it just felt like, okay, RJ Barrett's going to take him on, get himself to the rim. Maybe normally this is something that RJ Barrett would do. He'd take a solid opportunity to get to the rim and get some points up. But instead, had the presence of mind, even in the fast-paced transition play there, to kick the ball out with a perfect pass into Gary Trent's shooting pocket, cross-court, for an above-the-break three-point attempt, which Gary Trent Jr. makes in transition, a big-time three in that game. And that really just started to change the complexion of what RJ Barrett could be for this team. 1 week ago, I was saying, I respect the upside this player has. The Raptors are gambling on the upside here. They wanted Immanuel Quickley. RJ Barrett seems like the add-on to this trade. Immanuel Quickley is a centerpiece, but hey, if this is the add-on, he's a young player with potential, with upside. Can the Raptors do anything to try and unlock that potential? Can the Raptors do anything to try and help this player really kickstart his NBA career? And I don't want to overreact to a 6-game sample size, but RJ Barrett started to make me look pretty bad for the way I spoke about him when he arrived to the Raptors. The situation seems to be really suiting him. Maybe we're still a little bit in the honeymoon phase here, but he's getting his touches. He's getting a ton of touches here. And with the Raptors right now, he's the 4th best player on the team, behind Quickley, behind Barnes, behind Pascal Siakam. He's getting easy matchups, particularly against the Lakers. Austin Reeves is matching up defensively against him for large portions of that game. RJ Barrett's going to absolutely take down that matchup. RJ Barrett's a good player. He's always known how to score, and that's the hardest thing to do in the NBA. So if we can take that scoring touch, we can add on some efficiency, some decision-making, and really start to produce some more winning tendencies out of the player, some smarter tendencies out of the player. This can be a real great pickup out of this trade to get RJ Barrett and Immanuel Quickley. To get Immanuel Quickley, that looks fantastic so far. But to get RJ Barrett alongside him, seemingly on a contract that's locked down for 3.5 years to be in Toronto, the upside is starting to showcase itself. Not going to overreact here, but RJ Barrett, as I said, is starting to really prove me wrong for the initial assessment that I had on the player when he arrived with the Raptors. So the big question will be, can he keep this up? Like, he can't keep up this efficiency. Like, he cannot shoot 63% on twos, 54% from three, almost 60% from the field. He cannot keep doing that. But can he produce some semblance of this for the rest of the season? Perhaps he can. Perhaps this is the situation. Perhaps this is the right environment for him to start to thrive. So we'll see if he can maintain any sort of consistency with this level of play. But doing this, no less, on the West Coast road trip for the Raptors is extremely impressive and it's extremely promising. We're not going to jump the gun too heavy on 6 games, but there are some signs here that things might be starting to turn for RJ Barrett. And that is an extremely welcome sight for the Raptors. RJ Barrett's 23, Immanuel Quickley's 24, Scotty Barnes is 22. Think about what this core could look like. The way they look right now at this age, think about what this core could look like in 3 years' time as they're all starting to get towards their prime. The Raptors could have a real core in place for the future to take them to the next level. RJ Barrett seems like he'll be a key piece involved with that, at least as far as these 6 games are concerned. So, what do you make of RJ Barrett's start in Toronto? Do you think any of this is at all sustainable? What do you project for him going forward in the NBA? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that's all for me for today. Thanks so much for watching this video. Drop a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe to the channel for more Raptors content like this, and I'll see you again very soon for another video or at the Raptors watch parties.